I hope everybody's had a wonderful day and drank plenty of green beer, because I'm going to lock the doors and the commodes aren't working anyway. Y'all bow with me. Gracious Heavenly Father, again we come to say thank you for all the blessings. Thank you for the many gifts that you continually give us. Lord, we just want to tell you thank you for being there for us. It's hard enough, so help us. Lead, guide, and direct us. Lord, I'm asking for patience individually here. Help me. Ask these things in my Savior's name. Amen. To the committee, I want to remind you that your mics don't work, so when we get through with the wall, we'll pass one around. Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move that Senate Bill 95 be recommitted to the Committee on Government Affairs for further work.
You have a motion. Do I hear a second? I have a motion and a second to move it
to the Government Affairs Committee.
I have a motion and a second to move SB 95 to Government Affairs. Anybody opposed? It's that's done. Okay. Also, committee, you will notice that there's amendments on your desk. I have a feeling that there will continue to be amendments put on your desk. And if I get past one, y'all hold on and yell at me. Mr. Albers.
Identity theft for court documents, and will be a great solution worked out between our justices, the clerks, and our various interested parties for attorneys.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh yeah, this is for a supplemental calendar for tomorrow. Mr. Hill.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the opportunity to be before you. I have three bills to present. One is under the modified open rule. It's the second one out. It's Senate Bill 187. And in the wisdom of the the House Judiciary Committee Chairman Willard has chosen to make this a great vehicle for a Civil Justice Coordinating Council measure, and he'd like to speak more towards that for the reason towards that, but I fully embrace it and support the initiative of his committee.
Mr. Willard,
it's a different bill.
Just to clarify, this was a bill you had that we took as a vehicle because we did not get the House bill that was the same subject out of thank you. We did not get the House bill out of the Judiciary Non-Civil Committee in time, but it has had full review, reading in their committee, and it is a change that brings about redefining some of the type of crimes that will be allowed for claimants to make under the Civil Justice Coordinating Council, Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, doing that, as well as changing the statute of limitations from 1 year to 3 years.
That's correct.
True?
And
thank you.
We're here to help make that happen at the will of the committee and the House.
Next one.
The next one I'd like to present is under modified structure rule. It's on the back page. It's Senate Bill 281. Senate Bill 281. And when we make changes to the state health benefit plan, inadvertently we don't offer a health savings account option through a low premium, higher deductible plan, and this, in working with the department, would allow our state employees to have one of many options, and one of these options would be to choose a health savings account option to use that brings a lot of tax benefits to the individuals who put those dollars in a health savings account.
Next one.
And the next one is Senate Bill 98, which prohibits the government funding of abortions. And I spoke to that the other day, and it's under the modified structured rule. It's the top one there, and I believe there's a amendment for the committee's consideration that I spoke to yesterday. I'd be happy to speak to it again if you'd like. I think it might be in your folder.
On your desk, you've got AM 25-1335 with Setzler and Smith, Lindsay, and then somebody I can't read. Is that you, Ramsey? Okay. Mr. Setzler.
Mr. Chair, this amendment clarifies, rather than referring to a policy specifically, it allows the abortion services, to the extent they were permitted under the state health benefit plan on January 1 of 14, to be approved or prohibited. It clarifies a reference that wasn't completely accurate in the bill as passed committee. It's really just a cleanup amendment, Mr. Chair.
Are you making a move on the amendment?
I'd like to move on the amendment, Mr. Chair.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that amendment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. So that will be the rules amendment. It'll be on when this bill gets on one of these calendars, it'll be on there for y'all to vote on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I failed to note, Representative Setzler will be carrying Senate Bill 98 at the will of the chairman, as well as Senate Bill 281. Thank you very much.
Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Modified structural SB 293. This is the property tax appeal to help level the playing field for taxpayers.
I hope that bill doesn't cause me as much grief as this other one that you did.
Thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Chairman. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Bye. What are you doing in there with all those senators? Get up there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm assuming your committee could use a little comic relief this afternoon. On behalf of 179 fellow House members, I bring you the only House item on the blue sheet today, very top of the first page, modified open House Resolution 1724. This could be described as a motherhood and apple pie resolution that got assigned to run through the committee process. I'm not sure why, but it has been a pleasure over the past 48 or so hours to move it through the committee process, and I would ask for favorable consideration.
That'll be the only one I can guarantee is on that first supplemental. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Beach.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I bring before you Senate Bill 381, the Georgia First Informer Broadcast Act. And just basically what this is, a first informer broadcaster means a broadcaster in Georgia who makes application to GEMA for a designation as a first informer broadcast pursuant to rules and regulations by the director of GEMA. And they would go through that, get certified, and then in case of an emergency, they would be able to get to their equipment and get fuel and so on. I would ask for your support and entertain any questions.
Y'all don't mind me and Richard were telling jokes up here about his bill. Not yours, Mr.
Okay.
Mr. Smith. Any questions, Mr. Beach? Thank you.
Thank you.
What is that? Is that the budget? Okay, Mr. Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, the Senate Joint Study Committee resolution is actually on your yellow sheets. It's the first day that's shown up. Senate Resolution 875. It's under Senate resolutions. This is something that Chairman England and I have talked about, and what we're going to look at with this joint committee is every year or two we will get a request from legislators to correct an error in a tax digest as it pertains to education funding, or lately payment in lieu of taxes that has caused an issue with the tax digest. We don't have any policy, and the way we look at those and what we want to do with this resolution is basically look at all of this and try to establish some policy for the legislature to follow when we are presented these opportunities. So appreciate your indulgence.
Okay. Next one. You got another one, don't you?
No, sir, I don't think so. There's 3 hills over in the Senate, and it may be another one.
You're not 32 or 6.
No, sir. They're both a lot handsomer than I am.
You had a chance of getting something on there. The other 2 didn't.
Well, help them all you can, sir. But if y'all can work on that, we'd appreciate it. I think it's something that we need to look at. There's 30-something kinds of payment in lieu of taxes in this state right now, and there's no repository for those settlements and agreements. So nobody understands what's going on with those, or who's receiving payments and who's not. And it affects the equalization and the local fair share as well when it's calculated. Could be getting double dipping as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Stone.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, committee members. On page 1, under modified open rule, about midway down, the first bill is SB 339. That's just a code revision bill that applies to retirement and pension portions of the code. Right below that, SB 341 is a bill giving probate court clerks authority to act on uncontested matters. Skip down past 2 bills to SB 364 and SB 365. These 2 bills are the result of the Governor's Criminal Justice Reform Council, and I think are very commendable. On the back, under modified structure, midway down is SB 304. This deals with continuing care retirement communities and gives an option for an equity model. Below that is SB 324, dealing with juvenile justice, allowing for their high-intensity teams to be post-certified. Below that, SB 332 is magistrate courts, brings their contempt power in line with other courts of similar stature. And Below that is SB 340, which is the general Code Revision Commission annual bill. I commend all of these to your favorable attention and be happy to answer any questions.
If you had to pick two of those bills that you wanted, which two would it be?
Which two bills?
Yeah.
Well, I don't mind at all telling you that. 364 and 365, because they support our governor's policies.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and happy St. Patrick's Day.
All right, there is going to be, Mr. Ramsey, you start.
I've got an amendment to SB 304. It's the Cancer Treatment Fairness Act. Chairman Smith and I do actually, that passed the House Health and Human Services Committee unanimously, passed the Georgia House with only 2 no votes. It's been amended over in the Senate. We think it's a very good policy. Chairman Smith worked very hard to negotiate a compromise with all the stakeholders, and it's AM 331442. A Rules Committee amendment to SB 304, which is on the members' desks.
Any questions of Mr. Ramsey? I'm going to assume that that's a motion. Do I hear a second? Have a second. The motion is to include the Ramsey have the Ramsey Amendment AM 331442 on SB 304. Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion. It carries. Does anybody? Yes, sir, Mr. Willard.
There's a minute on this, Mr. Chairman, dealing with that Senate Bill 340, which is what we call a cleanup bill. Comes through annually to make corrections of errors in spelling or punctuation of statutes that have been passed in previous years and brought to the attention of Legislative Council. I'm asking for by the amendment, the removal of a phrase that was put in apparently as an amendment to the bill, because that is more than just a statement of a correction for punctuation and spelling. It goes to a substantive change, and we have to do that only by actual statute under our Constitution. So if we're to allow out Senate Bill 340, the correction bill, I'd ask for the amendment to go with it.
Any questions of Mr. Willard? That is a motion. Do I hear a second? Any discussion? All those in favor of the amendment signify by aye. Any opposed? It carries. And just to update you a little bit, we're going to go, the amendments, we're going to go through them. That doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be on the second supplemental calendar. They could be on the third or fourth. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so that one, that's AM 251333, and it has passed. Ms. Underman.
Good afternoon. I bring before you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, 4 different bills. The first one is in the modified open rule. The fourth one down, Senate Bill 291, Georgia Adult and Aging Services Agency. I've explained this before. This is a lateral move. It's no physical impact. Senate Bill 352, Georgia Council on Lupus Education and Awareness, bringing up the fact that there are a lot of people in the state of Georgia that have lupus. Senate Resolution 981 at the bottom of the page, violence against healthcare workers, creating a joint study committee. This particular bill, unfortunately, healthcare workers and especially emergency room workers have had a lot of violence against them, and it's supported by the Hospital Association. Senate Bill 350. This bill passed in a committee substitute through the Judiciary and Chairman Willard's committee of bidding out child welfare services, contract services throughout the state of Georgia.
Did you get with Mr. Stone? Y'all just see how many y'all could get over here? Is that it?
I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I wanted to know if you got with Mr. Stone to say how many we could get over here. He got 7.
Well, I've gotten quite a few over here, but
oh well, we've had yours was the second one on the floor now.
I do. Yes, sir, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Got a few more to go, though.
Any questions of Ms. Underman? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mr. Schaefer.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Senate Resolution 415 is on your calendar under structured rule. It's a constitutional amendment that would prevent the General Assembly from raising the income tax. Georgia does not have the lowest income tax in the southeast United States, but if this amendment is approved, we'll be the only southeastern state that can tell businesses looking to come here that our tax can't go up. I want to thank the chairman of the committee and the subcommittee chairman, Representatives Chanel and Powell, for improving the bill, and would ask your favorable consideration of it. I believe it'll attract business, stimulate job creation, and produce additional revenue for our state.
It'll be on. You don't have to worry about it, Mr. Schaefer. That's a real good bill, resolution. Mr. Dugan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mine would be under modified structure. First is Senate Bill 283, basically authorizes public schools to recognize traditional winter holidays. And I have one more that co-authored of on Senate Bill 241. That's the Georgia Leadership and Service and Mission Act. It gives a leg up for qualified students as long as they contract with an ROTC program in a school within the state. Subject to your questions, Mr. Chairman.
Hang tight.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dugan on 241.
Yes, sir.
241, yeah. Does that mean, and this is a question that's come up, does that mean that each member of this General Assembly is going to have the right to appoint?
Appoint is the word that you most common here with the service academies. It's a recommendation for appointment in reality, Mr. Chairman. But yes, in essence, each member of our body, y'all's body here, our body, would nominate one deserving student to go to contract with an ROTC program within the state.
And you've got plenty of time for this, right?
I didn't understand the question, Mr. Chairman.
You've got plenty of time to take care of the 600 that you're going to get that didn't get into Tech or Georgia. That you're going to get it, because I'm going to tell you something. If I wanted to go to Tech, I'll join an ROTC program if you'll write me a recommendation.
I'd be glad to write you a recommendation, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions?
I understand the gist of your question, though. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait a second.
question, but I just wanted to mention there's an amendment to 283. I mentioned it to the author. It's on behalf of Representative Dudgeon and
Hold on. Try it again, Gene.
there's an amendment on your desk for 283. It was a House bill that came out of Senate, or out of the House Education Committee. Has Representative Dudgeon's name on it. It passed out of the Education Committee unanimously.
Wait.
283. There's two amendments, but this amendment is for House Bill 897, which was a Title 20 cleanup bill, education bill.
Okay, listen up. Let me do this. On your desk, you've got an amendment AM 33-1432. Is that the same amendment? Okay. Okay. All right, on your desk, you've got AM 33-1437, and it amends SB 283.
The House voted on this bill earlier and sent it over to the Senate.
Okay. Are there any, okay, this is the, okay. Okay. Yes.
There was, Representative, there was a, whatever minor changes that Senator Tippins made in the Senate that did not strip anything out. Like he made a couple minor tweaks that were acceptable to Dudgeon and Brooks Coleman, but they didn't add anything. Did not add anything, and there was no change in policy at all.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Any other questions? Mr. Setzler.
Thank you,
They
Mr.
were just
Chair.
improvements that he had made.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the author, again, just for clarification, the 1432 and the 1437 amendment we've got in front of us, I don't know the details. I know that the lady does, and I know the Senate vetted it very carefully. One has 1,632 lines on the bill. The other 1,631. I'm assuming you want the 1,637, the latter amendment offered by Representative Dudgeon. Is that the one that you're offering?
Two different bills. It's gonna be put on two different bills if y'all approve it.
Bills.
Thank you. Okay, it's clear to me now.
But to Representative Benton's, there were absolutely no policy changes from what we sent, and it was just some minor things. Thought it would be better to take the improvements that Senator Tippins made. But it adds back the things that had been removed in the Senate.
Okay. You've heard the explanation. Do I hear a second? Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Any opposed? All right, that's Amendment AM 33-1437, amending SB 283. Do that now. All right. Mr. Ramsey.
On your desk is AM 390070. It's an amendment to Senate Bill 392, Senator Gooch's bill. I've spoken to the author of the bill, and he deems it a friendly amendment. This is a legislation that passed out of the House unanimously by Representative Mabra in response to a question from a couple of high school students down in our district that wanted to be able to go to school early and work out, but their Class D restricted license prohibits them from driving before 6 a.m. Like I said, it passed the House unanimously. It didn't make it out of Senate rules today. So we think it'd be a good addition to Senator Gooch's bill, SB 392.
That's a move. I have a second. Is there any any discussion? There is none. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. It's on. Okay. That's AM 390070. Is to amend SB 392. Ms. Pro Tem? Ms. Pro Tem, you want to do the other one?
Is it on behalf of Representative Dudgeon again, to amend Senate Bill
343.
343, yes, 343 with the same language that was put on Senate Bill 283, passed out of the Education Committee unanimously, has a couple minor tweaks that Senator Tippins made, but no policy changes from what we voted overwhelmingly for on the House floor. I mean, like literally typos and minor changes, nothing, no substance at all. Other than just minor improvements that Brooks Coleman said were good. And Mike Dudgeon said, but I mean, they weren't policy changes at all. But I'll get the exact wording changes for both of you.
Whose bill is 343? Mullis?
Yes, this is the bill that related to the Georgia High School Association. Oversight. We voted on a similar bill.
We're going to forgive Mr. Mullis's faux pas. Or a lot of other things too, but we're going to forgive that. This is the same amendment that was offered back on 390, 280. I don't know. Okay. This is being offered on SB 343. It's AM 33-1432. You've got a motion in 16 seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's amended. That bill is on your yellow sheet. He talked about it the other day, but he didn't fill out the paperwork naturally. So it will be on.
The author is aware of that amendment as well, and he did not object.
Okay. Got you. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Setzler. Mr. Lindsay, it won't work.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Simple bill, Senate Bill 367. I ask for your the committee's favorable consideration. The only thing the bill will do, it allows that the president of the Atlanta City Council to serve on the ARC.
Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to put my name on House Resolution 1724.
Okay. Mr. Benton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to put my name by Senate Resolution 981, Senate Bill 346, and Senate Bill 294.
Were you in those hearings on 294? Was there a change made to that bill Thursday afternoon? Is anybody on regulated industries? Okay. Mr. Setzler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to put my name next to SB 281.
Mr. Weldon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask for Senate Bill 324, 364, and 365.
Do them again. 324 what?
364 and 325. Excuse me, 364 and 365.
So he's going to get two bills and you're going to recommend two of them, right?
Well, Mr. Chairman, you know, 324 is a good bill, and
The governor tell you to say that?
not in those words. Thank you.
Mr. Willard.
A name beside Senate Bill 187, as I mentioned earlier. This was a bill that was a House bill of mine that because of the rush into the session before crossover did not get through all the process. It did go through the Uncivil Judiciary Committee. As far as a Senate bill, it is a bill dealing with criminal justice coordinating council, redefining some crimes that are permissive for filing claims and changing the statute of limitations to 3 years. Sorry.
187.
180, yes, sir. Senate Bill 187.
Ms. Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to put my name by Senate Bill 291. That's the Georgia Adult and Aging Services Agency. I know there's been some concern that might be expanding government, but it's just like it's a lateral move. It was just like we did public health a few years ago, and public health is now doing a really good job, and we are an aging society. And I would like to put my name by Senate Bill 352. Thank you.
Mr. Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On modified open rule, I'd like to put my name by Senate Bill 274. On modified structure, my name by Senate Bill 255, Senate Bill 293, and Senate Bill 381.
Has Mr. Save been here?
I don't believe so, sir.
What's his name? Miss. Has she been here?
No, sir. Today was the first day it was eligible.
Oh. She can't have that bill. Mr. Rice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to put my name beside Senate Bill 341, the probate courts bill on modified open. And on the second page, I'd like to put my name beside Senate Bill 298.
Mr. Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to put my name beside Senate Bill 298, Senate Bill 381.
Mr. Pete, Ms. Dempsey.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to put my name by Senate Resolution 981, the Violence Against Healthcare Workers Joint Study Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. No, go back.
I'd like to help out Congressman Lindsay and put my name beside Senate Bill 367.
Mr. Chanel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under modified open, Senate Bill 341, It repeals a population provision. All 5 of my probate judges are in favor of this matter, and so am I.
Dadgum, you know, y'all ought to get a senator that won't mess with my bill. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I changed my mind on a couple after you said that. But let's try Senate Resolution 875. Is that a little better?
Okay. Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I kind of want to, if it's okay, revisit something. I mean, on SB 343, we're talking about a Georgia High School Association bill, and now we're going to attach a 47-page amendment that's dealing with a total different subject matter. I got to say, I got some concerns about that.
Noted.
Thank you.
Mr. Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to put my name beside SB 381 and SR 981.
Mr. Hamilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to put my name beside Senate Bill 341, and also because of modern technology, I received a little text saying that Senate Bill 294 was amended in committee to take care of the alarm services, if that means anything to you. I wasn't there. I'm simply passing on a message.
Ms. Hughley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I may have given Senator C some bad information because she was planning to be here, and I'd like to request her bill on her behalf, Senate Bill 274. When we left, this meeting had not been scheduled, so I told her we were going to be meeting on Tuesday. So it might be my fault that she has not been here, so I apologize on her behalf.
You guess you'd get her to come see me tomorrow sometime?
I will.
Okay. Okay. Will be the number 2. We've got number 1 supplement set. We said it Thursday afternoon, right? All right, this will be supplemental calendar number 2. It's on your yellow sheet, but since I'm going to do those 2 first, under modified structure, SB 343. Any opposition? It's on. And as the floor. Under eight, I'm going to put that under structured, and we have a move. Any objection? All right, it's on. Unmodified 7. Any opposition? It's on unmodified open SB 187. Any opposition? It's on I'm going to go ahead and put this thing on there, Mr. Powell. And somebody's going to get word to her. She's going to come ask for her bill sometime tomorrow. Under modified open 274. Any opposition? Under modified open SB 294. Any opposition? It's on. You hadn't been here before, have you? No, you might give me an opportunity to catch up. I want you to go right over there and get on that wall. Don't listen to her, you listen to me. She's already led you wrong once. Now get it behind that microphone. Tell us who you are.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am Senator Valencia C.
Ms. C., tell us about your bill.
That great one, Senate Bill 274.
Have you got any others up here?
I do have one, but I think it died.
That means it ain't up here.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I do have for your consideration Senate Bill 274, and that bill simply is asking to have a history museum regarding agriculture put in the state capitol. The premise of that is generated from myself, who now serves in the Senate, did serve one term in the House, but knew nothing about agriculture, which drives Georgia. I just think as we bring kids to this Capitol, many of them never get across the street to understand what agriculture does for Georgia. And this would be an opportunity for them to add to that conversation.
Okay. Now we've got plenty of questions for you. This board's lit up. You ready?
Yes.
Your bill's already on. Thank you for showing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. The children of Georgia will thank you as well.
Would y'all like to tell me where I am? All right, SB under modified open, SB 352. Never mind. Whoa. We can It's modified open. That's what I thought we'd do on the floor. All right, I'm going to stick with that. SB 352. It's modified open. Do I hear a move? Any opposition? It's on. This hurts my heart. Modified open SB 364. I'm sure everybody's opposed, but go ahead and say, anybody opposed? Gerald is the only one that got that. And the second over here, but we're going to put that one on. Modified open SB 365. Gerald's already proved he's on one with any guts, so that one's on too. Oh, okay. Gerald gets credit for it. Okay. Under modified open SB 386. Any opposition? It's on. Under modified open SR 981. Any opposition? Under modified structure SB 98. Any opposition? And there is a amendment. Any objection? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Ms. Hughley listens too. It's on, Mr. Vice Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I would move pursuant to Rule 33.3 that debate on SB 98 be limited to no more than 1 hour, time to be apportioned equally by the Speaker.
Have a motion second. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Somebody listens over there. Carla, I'm glad you jumped in there that time. All right. Under modified structure, SB 283. There was an amendment on that one. Any opposition? It's on. Under modified structure, SB 340. Any opposition? Sir? We've got an objection to that one. Let's see, Mr. Roberts, would you like to vote? And that one's been amended too, right, Mr. Willard? Okay. Under modified structure, SB 381.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. Under modified structure, SB 392. Any opposition? It also has an amendment running around. Under structured, SR 415. It's on. Okay. I got it checked. I just ain't certain. Okay. All right. Under
limit debate.
Under modified structure, SB 350. All right. I've got to get a move first. Several moves. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. All those opposed, same sign. Is the second row not going to participate in this last one?
When?
Let's try this again.
350, you amended.
SB 350. As amended by Mr. Willard's committee. All those in favor signify by raising their hand. All those opposed, same sign. All right, y'all keep them up.
Make one motion.
It's on. Mr. Golick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just out of an abundance of caution, I'm going to move pursuant to the rule to limit debate on all legislation on day 39 to no more than 1 hour, time to be apportioned equally by the Speaker.
All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. The opposed, same sign. Okay. All right. That will be your second supplemental calendar. We've got to save something. We haven't got but like 14 bills left, so we've got to save something for the last two supplemental calendars.